All right. Steve, you good to go?
I'm good to go.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for United Way of Greater Nashville's Virtual Tour Tuesday. My name is Brian Pulley, and I'm a senior manager with United Way's Workplace Engagement Team. And I have the great pleasure of working with our Tour Tuesday series. Tour Tuesday is an opportunity for folks to get an inside look at the great work happening in our community through United Way's partner agencies. For fellow nonprofit staff, this is a great way to learn about other service providers and programs that might be beneficial to your clients as well. For those looking to get involved, it can be a great way to hear about current volunteer and engagement opportunities. And for our United Way donors, this is a fantastic opportunity to hear from the agencies who are putting your dollars to work in our community. While we do hope one day to be together again for in-person tours, we're happy to continue with our virtual series. Each tour features agencies and programs from across the greater Nashville region as we come together to discuss current community conditions. On today's tour, we will hear from Bethlehem Centers of Nashville and learn how they're providing community-led services and opportunities tailored to meet the specific needs and cultures of surrounding neighborhoods. We have the great privilege of being joined by Steve Fleming. He is the CEO of Bethlehem Centers. And at the end of today's sessions, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions of our panelists through the Q&A box that's located at the bottom. So please hold on to those questions until the end. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Steve and let him tell you a little bit more about himself, his organization, and the services they provide in our community. So Steve, welcome, and thank you for joining us. And so we'll start off. Can you tell us a little bit about your role, what brought you to this work, and the history of Bethlehem Centers in Nashville?
All right, thank you for that introduction, and glad to be a part of this event and glad to promote the Bethlehem Centers of Nashville ministry. Of course, Bethlehem Center started back in 1894 as a sewing circle and kindergarten for families, immigrant families here in the North Nashville community. It was started by two women, one Caucasian and one African-American, Miss Estelle Haskin and Sally Sawyers. And today we've evolved into a number of outreach services and programs that impact a great portion of North Nashville. We serve a great large percentage of North Nashvillians through our services. And of course, I'm elated to talk about Bethlehem Centers because I'm a product of here. I grew up here in the Bethlehem Center service community. I've been impacted by Bethlehem Center services since I was 4 years old. Bethlehem Centers helped me to secure a scholarship to Wilberforce University. And I went there and I graduated in 1993. And when I came back, I worked through all the various programs at the Bethlehem Centers, children and youth services, a little bit through our family resource center, some of our senior services. And I got my first working opportunity as a teenager at 14 here at the Bethlehem Centers. And it was at that time when I developed a passion to do human services work. So here I sit today, coming through the Bethlehem Centers as a product of their services and now service the CEO. So I give my all for Bethlehem Centers every day. It's the reason why I'm sitting in the seat here at the Bethlehem Centers as CEO. And of course, I love enriching and serving and impacting in the community that I grew up in. So Bethlehem Centers is everything. It's near and dear to me and my family. And of course, we serve about 2,500 people a year through a multitude of services. We have 4 core areas: children and youth services, senior services, community outreach, and then of course, we have our family impact services, which is consummated by Family Resource Center, as well as our new Family Collective program that we do in partnership with United Way. So Bethlehem Centers has been on the forefront of changing a lot of lives. Our impact tagline mission is to change lives and to build futures. We do that through after-school tutoring services for our youth. We do have daycare on our campus through our partnership with the 15th Avenue North Learning Academy. We also, through that partnership, we reinstituted our Read to Succeed program in partnership with United Way by offering that on the campus here in North Nashville. A multitude of youth services, after school programs, summer youth employment jobs. We're now embarking on prepping for our summer services, where we'll have about 36 teenagers working for the summer and another near 100 kids in our summer camps for the summer. And then we have a large program out senior where we impact senior citizens We feed 216 seniors every day through our Meals on Wheels initiative. And then another 40 seniors come 3 days a week for senior enrichment services. And we do tons of community outreach. We just held our annual community Easter egg hunt this past Saturday. So we try to do something for everybody where the total family is impacted, and be the difference makers where we can be.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm by a loud street, so I was trying to mute. Sorry about that. Somebody had to do it, so it might as well be me to start out and be the guy on mute. I appreciate that. You mentioned a little bit about your services. Can you talk a little more detail about the services you provide, your service region, and then maybe some outcomes that you see and that you're looking for? Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Okay, so our service region, of course, is the North Nashville area. We do target census tracts 135 and 144 in the U.S. Census Tract, and that's de facto zip codes 37203 and 37208, two North Nashville latent zip code areas. As I stated earlier, we serve about 2,500 people a year through a multitude of services and programs for families that live in this region of town. And of course, some of our outcomes, of course, we do a lot of programs and services that impact the educational aspects of the clients that we serve. So for example, our children and youth, we are certainly in the business of helping raise their academic scores, especially with the feeder schools that we partner with, which is the Pearl-Cohn Cluster Schools, Pearl-Cohn Park Avenue, McKissick Middle School, the primary schools, of course, with having our after-school programs and stuff. We do measure the kids' literacy abilities through our SRA reading program, our literacy program. And then we also maintain a strong partnership with those schools and their community achieves programs to monitor student progress in this region, because of course all that funnels over into Metro's overall student standings and that kind of thing as it relates to the school's performance. So our after school programs are designed to help fortify those scores and make them strong and stuff about impacting the kids through tutoring services here at the Bethlehem Centers. Some of other impacts are, we do feed those 216 elderly people every day. We do try to maintain situations where their health is improving, where they're offered a healthy and nutritious meal each day to certainly cut down on high blood pressure, hypertension rates and stuff. So the meals are USDA based and sanctioned, of course. We have not been able to restart our partnership with the Vanderbilt School of Nursing, but of course, due to COVID, they would come in and do health assessments, and we would use those. We would do 2 health assessments, a pre and a post test to measure the progress of those seniors in the program. But we are still feeding them every day the USDA sanctioned meal, and we do allow them to share their health assessments and stuff with us as they get them, to also help track progress. And then we measure a number of other things, such as health and fitness. We have a campus garden here on campus where we try to improve the health of people in this community, because Bethlehem Centers is in one of Nashville's designated food deserts, where we lack access to a full service grocery store that provides fresh fruits and vegetables. A lot of our clients have to travel to the nearby Kroger's over on Monroe Street, but it would be great to have a full service grocery store in the immediate area where those families can walk, to get that. And then of course, we have a lot of prevention programs where we try to direct kids in a positive direction as it relates to alcohol and drugs, through our partnership with the state of Tennessee and the Department of Mental Health Say Yes to Success prevention program.
Thank you so much for sharing about your programs and the incredible service you provide to our community. I think we can all agree having a supporting community improves a child's opportunity to learn, increases an adult's quality of life, and can make all the difference for a senior living alone. As we look forward, the greater Nashville community has adjusted in response to the pandemic. Have you adapted your programs, and what changes will continue going forward? And maybe share some of the silver linings you're seeing and what you're hoping to achieve by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you for that question. Of course, one of our great feats and highlights during the entire pandemic is we never closed our doors. We maintained services. Of course, we did put in a lot of safety protocols and services where we could still render our services. A lot of it in person, of course. As I mentioned, the 216 people that we feed every day, they depended on those hot meals and stuff every day. So we definitely made it possible to have staff to come in, even if they had to be masked up, entry point temperature checks and those kinds of things, so that we were able to get the meals out to the things. We do about 54,000 meals a year. And then, of course, during the pandemic, when Metro schools had went virtual, we became an e-learning site for those families that had technology challenges and things, so those kids could come to the Bethlehem centers, of course, utilize our hotspots, utilize our equipment and space and stuff to be able to do their virtual learning activities. And of course, by us being a natural partner of United Way, we were a basic needs support service site where we were part of the COVID response network through United Way. So we did provide basic needs supports to those needy families and residents in North Nashville by supporting them through bill payments, providing basic need, food essentials, cleaning supplies, the whole 9 yards to help get people through. Also, we also help promote the vaccination push that we were trying to make, kind of get everybody going. So even through our partnership with a number of health organizations, we were working to help push to help people have their vaccinations where they could help make the world a healthier place. And of course, we still maintain all of our services. And here today we are, have 100% of our services back in flow and back and going. Strong after school program, strong services. And now, like I mentioned earlier too, we're about to embark on some very large summer programs and stuff where we have people in place. But we do have the COVID practice and stuff has allowed us to have safety protocols in place where we can become a hybrid organization if need be. Shall that be another uptick in COVID, we do have systems in place where we can adjust on the fly if we need to, while still maintaining our service to our community.
I know, and we've all had to be adaptable here, and it certainly sounds like you have. But what have been some of the biggest challenges you think that have come along in the last couple of years? That I know, working United Way on the nonprofit side that we've seen. But what from your end at the Bethlehem Centers, what have you seen has been some of your biggest challenges?
It is, just the elephant in the room, especially in a growing and a progressive city, all the dynamics and the changes of the city. We know that, there's a gentrification intrusion, especially in North Nashville and in our region. A lot of traditional families that have always lived here. There's a little bit of concern about, where do they go if they're uprooted, trying to make sure that they are getting good paying jobs that allow them to at least, make ends meet. A lot of them are living paycheck to paycheck. And because of that, we are getting an uptick of requests for, even support on things like rent and utilities and stuff so that the family can live adequately and, live a wholesome life and that kind of thing. So we are beginning to see an uptick in requests for those kinds of services, and just trying to connect people to, good wage paying jobs where they are able to live in Nashville, a place that they've always called home. And of course, we try to have a seat at the table so that we kind of stand and notice, so that we can help guide the clients and the families, accordingly and stuff. And of course, we are knocking on the door just like everybody else, crying for affordable housing for, the residents of our city and stuff, because it's really a going thing, especially in this part of town.
I mean, you mentioned in our introduction that you were a young person that was, affected greatly by the centers, and so what or the effect you've seen maybe that the last couple of years have had on our young people, and you mentioned some of your programs. So what are you guys trying to do to help them? Because we've all heard that with the kids being in and out of school and some of the disruptions in their routine, or not having, maybe in some instances those schools are a safe place for them in some instances. So what are some of the things you guys are seeing on your end?
And that's just that we're trying to make sure that we have programming services in place that allow them to be able to come to a safe place. So we try to keep our doors open as much as possible. We do have a multitude of services that are considered wraparound services. So For example, if the kids are here for tutoring services, they easily become eligible for other programs such as a holiday tour program. If we take kids to the Predators Give and Go games, they become a part of that. So introducing them even to the partnership community. We do have strong partnerships with the sports teams in the community. So we are able to expose our kids to those types of opportunities. Of course, we have a ton of family events by us being a family resource center. And then just offer an after school program during the school year. And then once the school year ends, we automatically segue those kids over into our summer camp. So they are connected to some positive alternative service throughout the year, not just during the summer or not just during the school year. So we try to provide a bridge of services from the school year to the summer and back to the school year. So they're busy. Also having a strong partnership with MDHA and Metro, with the Metro Action Commission, by offering summer jobs for kids, getting them off the streets, making sure they're earning money the honest way without facing the challenges and the temptations of drugs and crimes, which exist in the area. So being able to give them opportunities to make money the right way, to start being excited about, gaining a good occupation and working and earning money the right way. So we try to do all those things so that the kids, are in a safe place, but at the same time being built to become productive citizens in the Nashville community.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. At this point, I want to encourage everybody, if you have questions, we have a Q&A box at the bottom. Please submit those, and we can ask Steve those questions as we continue our conversation. If you have any issues, that you can also drop them in the chat, and we can read them from there. But the Q&A box at the bottom is open for questions if you have any. So, Steve, you talked a little bit about your upbringing and the impact it's had on your career. And as you see these young people that are coming through your centers, talk about the feeling of that, of being able to kind of give back. I've had a little bit of the same opportunity. I grew up in the community that I'm serving right now with the United Way, and kind of you can't help but think about growing up here and kind of how you want to better the place that you grew up in, and having that passion for what you do and applying that to your work. But just talk a little bit about that for the people listening, as far as like what that means to you, and just getting to kind of get up and serve every day the place that you grew up in.
Yeah. It's a great highlight for me. It's real exciting too, because a lot of times I'm working with kids, or we have kids that come through our agency where I went to school with their parents. So I went to high school or either middle school with their parents. So it becomes this natural kind of family-like thing. And of course, their parents tell their kids about me, but they went to school with me. So it makes them a little less tempting to misbehave because of the relationship that I have with their parents. And it also makes it easier for me to, redirect if I need to redirect a negative behavior, because I can easily say, well, I grew up there too. I don't let them use an excuse of growing up in public housing or this, that, or the other, because I grew up there too. And it's all about how we carry ourselves and how we exhibit our character. But I also talk to them about, living a fair life. We do have dialogues about how to deal with law enforcement and that kind of thing, so that, they're not disrespected as well. So we talk about everybody's worth and value in this world, and, especially being African-American kids and sometimes having difficulties and challenges with law enforcement. We just say that everybody has a part to play, since we live in this great big old world. And we try to do our very best to prep our kids for all types of situations so they can navigate through. And for the most part, we have a good, strong, positive track record on kids going off to colleges and doing things. We have a ton of kids that come through the Bethlehem Centers that are in colleges, and some of them are now serving as leaders in the community. And just some of the few that I can name is, of course, Lionel Matthews came through the Bethlehem Centers. Of course, Mr. Howard Gentry is an alumni of the Bethlehem Centers. Ms. Brenda Wynn. So there's been a ton of great people that are service, engines and service agents in our city and leadership spots now that have come through the Bethlehem Center. So Bethlehem Center has been a great place of tradition, building leaders and building, great community servants and people.
And you can toot your own horn a little bit. So it's okay. It's good to do that here and let people know what you're doing because you're making a gigantic impact in our community. But as somebody that works in a nonprofit as well, I wouldn't. I have to ask, what are some of your needs, and what can people do to help? How can people get involved? How can people volunteer opportunities, that kind of thing? Like what can people do to help?
Yeah, so and I welcome that. But of course, with us being a 128-year-old multi-service organization, of course, we're in an old building. So Bethlehem Center's building that we're in now here on Charlotte Avenue was erected in 1923. It'll be 100 years old next year. So we're constantly, trying to paste and Band-Aid to keep it up or keep it beautified, colorized, and that kind of thing. So it's a great place for people to visit. But we could always utilize, funding support just to maintain the building, of course, to help keep the lights on and that kind of thing. We also welcome volunteers to come in and serve as tutors for our students in our after school programs. As we're now getting ready to embark on our summer services, we always welcome in people from the business community to come in and be a part of our orientation week as we're preparing the kids for the workforce for the summer before they engage into their summer internships. We always have a need for donations like toiletries, cleaning supplies to be a part of our necessity pantry because we do have families that come to us with basic need requests and stuff. So we would love to be able to continue to give out such toiletries and those kinds of things to help their family with day-to-day living and to, lessen the load on their finances. And then we're always welcome to volunteers coming and be it through Hands on Nashville. We have a partnership with them. A lot of our volunteer opportunities are either on the Bethlehem Center's website at www.bethlehemcenters.org, or you can go to Hands on Nashville to see a plethora of volunteer opportunities that are year round. We need volunteer drivers to help deliver some of the meals to some of those homebound seniors that we're talking about. And all those meals are delivered in the North Nashville community. So it's not like that person would have to be scattered all over the city. They do work on 16 fixed routes in North Nashville. So a number of volunteer opportunities and service learning opportunities are available, not only for the general public, but for church groups and for college students and service learning groups as well.
And if we have any of our donors or folks that are involved with campaigns through United Way, it sounds like a great opportunity for your company to have a day at the Bethlehem Centers, do a little cleanup, little painting, little facelift. Would that be appreciated, you think?
That would be most appreciated. Of course, we used to have that, especially before the pandemic took over. We would often have corporate groups to come in and make that day their Bethlehem Center day. So we'd love to welcome that back. We do have a few doors that are fading and that kind of thing, and we would love to have a fresh coat of paint and that kind of thing. So we're welcome to all those kinds of opportunities.
I think we should be able to make that happen. So I'm not seeing any more questions in the Q&A, and so Steve, I'm going to open it up. Here we go. I just got one in. It says, do you offer services in Spanish?
We don't offer services in direct Spanish, but we do have systems in place where if translation is needed, we're able to do that. Okay.
Yeah. Good question. Yeah. Before we let Steve kind of wrap it up here, does anybody else have any questions? And I know we've thrown a lot of material at you, and then you guys have a vast array of services, and it's kind of hard to condense, I know, in this format, and there's a lot more to it. But any other questions? I don't see any. Steve, is there any parting words you'd like to leave us with? And we'll make that plea again for some folks to come out and kind of do a day there. I think we did a couple of those. I was fortunate enough to be a part of those before the pandemic.
Okay.
And I know I'm just going to go ahead and give you a little pitch here for companies that are looking for ways to engage your employees. I know that's been a big thing during this because everybody's spread out. We're on these Zooms. We're not together. I know that's something that's top of mind. So if you want to come out and have a good day, Bethlehem Centers, let the United Way help line that up, and we can get out and have a good day. But Steve, anything else that you have before we can wrap it up?
No more than just thanking everybody for tuning in today and just learning a little bit about Bethlehem Centers and our ministry. We always say that we're a big part of this, the community and that kind of thing. We want to continue to progress and grow as Nashville grows, and we can't do it without you, and vice versa. You know, I still think we all need each other. So I just implore everybody to love on one another, and certainly wrap your arms around and keep Bethlehem Centers in prayer.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful way to wrap it up. Like I said, I know we throw a lot of information at you, and some of you may have additional questions. Each attendee will receive a follow-up email with my contact, as well as contact of the program representative from today's tour. And please feel free to follow up for more information, like a working day at the Bethlehem Centers. We're going to keep saying that. So thank you again to Steve with the Bethlehem Centers, as Cheryl's kind of showing a couple of the slides here, for taking time to be with us today. I know I speak for all of us in this virtual space that we're so grateful for the work that you've done in our community, and we need you now more than ever, as we've seen the last couple of years. And United Way is grateful to be a partner and supporter of your work. And I also want to send a thank you to all of our attendees who took some time out during your lunch break today to join us. And thank you for the time that you devoted to our community today, and for your year-round support of the United Way. This work could not happen without you. And so we'll hope that you join us again for our next Tour Tuesday. Information will be posted soon on the United Way's Get Involved website page. And just thank you. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. The sunshine is out. We all love to see that. And again, if you have any other questions, follow up with that email that will be sent. And Steve, thank you so much for taking time out today and sharing about the work you're doing. We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless everyone.
God bless. Have a good day.